7-0 before a sellout group. The Vikings lead Dallas 7-3, I beg your pardon. Scott Laidlaw and Tony Dorsett are the running backs for the Cowboys. And here is Dorsett's first carry in the NFL, and it gets maybe a half yard.
Jim Marshall made the tackle, and we keep remembering the time that Jim did pick up the fumble and go the wrong way, but that was Dorsett's first active play, but that won't be his last. The one day he gets it turned on, he's going to have a 250 day against somebody.
The other setback is Scott Laidlaw. Dorsett and Laidlaw shift. Draw play Laidlaw. He might have got the couple. Jeff Seaman and Fred McNeil made the tackle. We have 6.5 minutes left before halftime.
I sort of have a theory as to why Tony Dorsett was getting hurt in the preseason a lot. It's just that he knew so well where the people that were going to make contact with him came from in college that in pro ball.
From the shotgun, he scrambled out.
You know who was chasing him, don't you? Watch number 88 get in hot pursuit, and Alan Page can run like a back, probably as fast as Roger, and Roger's quick. Look at 88 coming from behind. I think Roger's glad that he got under Blair.
1st and 10 for Dallas at their own 38-yard line. 5.5 minutes left first half. 7-3 Minnesota. Fake to Dorsett. Outside Laidlaw. Close to another Dallas first down. Stopped by Bobby Bryant.
Little slick operation here, and Laidlaw goes to the right area. He's always in the right place, and Dallas football has always been that way. If you're told to go somewhere, get there. He's a very cute football player and extremely dependable. Bryant does it out of bounds.
9-yard pickup as Bud Grant and Neil Armstrong look on. Tom Landry and Jim Myers look on.
What a day for football up here. I've never seen it like this.
Very humid, however. Pearson comes back in motion. Dorsett gets the call. Dorsett might have gotten a yard and might have gotten a first down. It is going to be very close. Jim Marshall led the charge.
I wonder how old Tony Dorsett was when Jim Marshall started playing football. He might have been in a career.
I don't believe he was born.
That's the great thing about pro football. It has lamination. You come into here and you don't have 12-year veterans at college. At least you're not supposed to have, right?
At some colleges, maybe. It is 3rd down. Dorsett did not get it. He'll get another crack. And again, he does not get it. Jeff Seaman.
Don't you imagine the defensive people, and you're on the defensive side right now, don't you think they're keen, Tony Dorsett? Watch Eller come through and strip it, and watch number 50 now. And I mean to tell you, the big guy from Stanford's got it humming.
Randy White will drop deep, number 11 for Dallas. Bob Grimm is the man the Vikings would like to handle the ball. He's back there with Robert Miller. It's a high knuckle ball that requires a fair catch, and that's what Grimm does with it at the 20. The Vikings will take over with 3 minutes and 11 seconds left to play in the first half. And Minnesota leads 7-3. Two of the top teams of last year and the last few years on opening day. Don't forget, the Trenton 150 next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern Time on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
Patrick, that's still a dangerous old track up there, and if you're a racing buff, that's one you want to watch.
Here's one you want to watch, too. Tarkenton gives to Miller, and Miller got perhaps to the line of scrimmage, and the veteran Jethro Pugh was underneath.
These two teams are so good. If you make a couple of mistakes in a row, you could get down 14 points, and it looks like they're playing close to the vest, but they're really not.
Red Sox 6-4 over the Orioles in the 6th inning. both of those teams chasing the Yankees still. Baltimore 2.5 games out. Losing to the Red Sox. Tarkenton behind Tingeloff to Stu Voigt. Charlie Waters, the man nearest. And that Stu Voigt is
just
how does he do it?
214 pounds out of Wisconsin. They never draft any big tight ends that come in here and take it away from him. He goes down and finds the spot. He had like 8 catches in preseason, only about a 9-yard average, but every darn catch he makes is valuable. It's important.
That one was valuable enough for a first down. 3 catches by Stu Voigt for 40 yards and a Minnesota first down. And Tarkenton flips back to Foreman. Ball is loose. And looks like it might belong to the Cowboys. Yes, it does.
Again, it's between Tarkenton and Foreman, the best ball handlers, obviously, on this ball club. It's a casual pass that sort of hits off the shoulder pad of Foreman, and his effort to recover it didn't seem outstanding either.
Ed Jones had a shot at it, but D.D. Lewis is the man who made the recovery. Jones was in good shape on that play, and Dallas is in good shape right now. At the Minnesota 29, with just over 2 minutes left to play in the first half, the Cowboys look like they have a chance to get closer or possibly go ahead.
Dorsett and Laidlaw.
Those are the running backs behind Staubach. Dorsett goes deep in the eye. Staubach gets away from Page and finally does not get away from everybody else. It's ruled an incomplete pass. Laidlaw had it. Marshall has it now. And now the referees get it from the crowd.
I think Jim knows which way to go with that one. Give it back to the ref. Obviously, there was a good shot put on Laidlaw.
And now we'll wait while both benches are notified that there are that many seconds remaining in the first half.
Hey, Mom!
Oh, hiya, Sonny.
Stop sitting around, Mom. Let's take a ride in my new Ford pickup.
All right, let me drive. Hope I can handle it.
This is the one that's built tough with Ford's exclusive twin I-beam suspension and a new 4-speed overdrive option.
Fire up.
And extensive rust-fighting materials on underbody parts.
What'd you think, Mom?
You may think I'm off my rocker. This Ford is tough.
Of all Ford trucks registered over the last 12 years, 93 out of 100 are still on the job.
I would tell another woman to go into Firestone.
Ask a friend about Firestone, Firestone, Firestone.
This is my car, and I think it's more or less my responsibility. And when when it comes time to changing tires, I'm the one that had to take it in. Well, if someone was to ask me, you know, what tires to get, I would tell them to get Firestone.
Firestone.
Tony Dorsett, Pat, has got to learn to pick up. Alan Page makes a big move on Fitzgerald, and watch 33 not get the block on him, and that's what happened to that last play. There he is standing there. Roger now unloads and almost gets Laidlaw put in the infirmary.
We come back live. The ball is loose and live. And Minnesota's got it. Jeff Wright is the guy who made the recovery.
Tell you, their secondary guys look like the Yankee infield. Anything that comes around there, thrown or otherwise, they end up with it.
At the 15, it'll be 1st and 10 for the Vikings. Dallas defense back on the field. Minnesota offense behind Fran Tarkenton. 1st and 10. To Miller, straight ahead. A couple, not much more than that. Randy White underneath the bottom. And Jethro Pugh.
Can you be about dead even? Are these two teams about as close as you can get?
Well, Minnesota was 11-2-1 last year, and Dallas was 11-3. Minnesota 4-2 in preseason, and Dallas 3-3. Tarkenton dropped. Harvey Martin got away from the blockers. Tarkenton fires, and Chuck Foreman has it. That ought to be enough for a first down. Aaron Kyle wrestled him down. 1:05 left first half. Minnesota 7, Dallas 3.
Some play by Tarkenton. Watch this. I'll tell you, this little character can still put it all together. Watch him run to the left. Boy, he knows how to get away. Throws it on the run. Very calm at the moment of release. Good tackle by Kyle here. Our number 44 has crazy thoughts.
It is a Minnesota first down. Ball at their own 28. They lead by 4 in the closing minutes of the first half. The first game of NFL season number 58. Pat Summerall with Tom Brookshire.
You know, I've seen most of the great quarterbacks. I either played with them or had them throw the ball over me to somebody else. But I'll tell you, number 10 is the most unusual that will ever come along in this game. I don't know if we'll ever see anybody that's put together like that can play that many seasons, have all the touchdown records, all the yardage records, all the attempt records, and not get hurt.
You look down that list of records that are live that Tarkenton holds right now. Most yards gained lifetime, most touchdown passes lifetime, most passes attempted lifetime, most passes completed lifetime. It just goes on and on. And those are not team records. Those are league records.
He says he wants 2 more years of it, which doesn't make the opposition feel any better about that either.
1:05 left. It is the first half in Minnesota. Don't forget to stick around with us at the half for an update on all the scores from Brett Musburger and Phyllis George and Irv Cross. Less than a minute now left in the first half. Minnesota 7, Dallas 3.
You know who's really blocking is Goodrum. Charlie Goodrum has really grown up, number 68 at the left guard spot. He went across and trapped that time on too tall, and not a bad hole.
5-yard gain. The Vikings show not too much of an indication that they will call a timeout. Just to run out the first half, unless something big happens. Francis is going to try to make it. Intended for Miller, who pulled up. Aaron Kyle on the coverage. That'll stop the clock with 23 seconds left to play in the first half.
He's probably thinking 3 points. He'd like to get Cox inside the 30-yard line or so and try to get a 40-yard field goal out of the veteran kicker, his osteopathic kicker that's been here for 14 years.
Fred Cox.
That's right. Imagine that you could have a guy on your team that can pop your knuckles and get your back in shape and still kick like that.
They got a lot of guys can do that.
Even when you don't ask?
Yeah. 3rd down and 5, the situation now. Viking ball at their own 33-yard line. Straight ahead. Now Dallas might be calling a timeout. 18 seconds left to go in the first half. Dallas had all 3 of their timeouts left, and that was a Cowboy timeout just called.
There's no use saving timeouts, you know.
No.
Coaches used to say, save those timeouts. You'd get through with the game, you still had those timeouts left, and everybody was dying. Might as well use them.
You can't bank them, can you?
That's no interest.
4th down situation for Neil Clabo and the Vikings. And the Cowboys would like to get close enough to at least get Herrera in range.
Sort of a funny call by Fran, really, on 3rd down, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Clabo. Butch Johnson is deep for Dallas, number 86. They almost blocked it again. Flag goes down. They did run into Clabo that time, and that ought to just about take care of the first half. Thomas Henderson, I believe, is the guy who ran into Clabo. Watch it.
They've served warning, though. They're going to get one. They've got 3 people close to this one, and that was just missed by a fraction.
I believe it was number 59 who actually made the contact. That's Guy Brown, the linebacker from Houston. And there's the walk-off. It was not intentional, so it's only 5.
But it is a first down, and now
Running
we'll see
into
if
the kicker, number 59, defense.
That was Guy Brown.
Now let's see if Fran goes to the outside a couple of times, throws something safe. Deep sideline, which is very safe. That's not as safe as the deep sideline, I'll tell you that.
First down for Francis. Based on the last series, I think they just run it out. That's what he's going to do. Miller ducks underneath. Randy White makes sure he stays down, and the clock runs down at the end of the first half. The Vikings, who scored on their first possession. A key run by Sammy Johnson, and a touchdown pass from Fran Tarkenton to Chuck Foreman. Got the Vikings that lead. It was a 40-yard field goal by Efren Herrera that accounts for the Dallas 3. So, at the half, the Minnesota Vikings lead the Dallas Cowboys. The score is 7-3.
What time you go to sleep is your business. What time you wake up is Panasonic's. Panasonic introduces its electronic clock radios. A gentle chirp, silent, easy-to-read numbers, a doze button, and, of course, beautiful AM and FM. What time you wake up is
my business.
Ours, too. Panasonic electronic clock radios and digital clock radios.
When do you say Budweiser?
After a good bout on the lake with the water ski.
In about 2 minutes. And that's about, what, 120 seconds?
When do you say Budweiser?
When I'm fishing and when I finish fishing.
Right after I finish painting this van.
Whatever I can.
On a hot day like today.
Before I go to bed.
When you say Budweiser.
Budweiser.
You said it all.
The Ford in Your Future is coming October 7th. The new Ford Fairmont. A new wagon designed for today and the years ahead. The Fairmont wagon has very good mileage ratings, but while it is trim and lean outside, Fairmont has almost 90% of the passenger space of GM's biggest wagons and can swallow up all this cargo. Is Fairmont the Ford in your future? Test drive Fairmont October 7th. Find out for yourself. Fairmont, the newest, better idea from the Wagon Master.
Next Saturday at 4:30 p.m., CBS Sports Spectacular presents live the Trenton 150 from the Trenton International Speedway with Mario Andretti, Tom Sneva, and more racing for the title. That's the Trenton 150 live next Saturday at 4:30 p.m. on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
A lot going on, and right now St. Louis and Denver are scoreless in the second quarter. Houston has scored against the New York Jets. They lead 7-0. Phyllis, get us up to date with all the baseball races still left and also that America's Cup race.
Great. Reggie Jackson and Dave Kingman homered for the New York Yankees today as they defeated Detroit 6-5. And Brent, of course, will have those highlights of that game in just a moment. Baltimore held a day for Brooks Robinson, but they trailed the Boston Red Sox in the 6th inning 6-4. A Baltimore defeat would place them 3.5 games behind the Yankees. In the other races, the Phillies lost to St. Louis. Their magic number staying at 5 in the National League East. The Dodgers, just starting, have a magic number of 2 over the Reds in the National League West, and Kansas City, who just won today, knocked their magic number to 4 in the American League West. Now in Davis Cup play today, both Australia and Italy advanced to the finals, and of course Ted Turner's yacht Courageous made it 4 straight to sweep the America's Cup. Britt, what about those Yankee highlights?
All right, and Phyllis, also an update right now. Boston leading Baltimore 6-4 in the 9th. Now the highlights that Phyllis told you about. What a pickup Dave Kingman has turned out to be for the New York Yankees. In Tiger Stadium, where hitters flourish, he hit another one today. 2 in 2 days for New York as they rolled up a 6-run lead. And I want to show you a candidate for most valuable player in the American League. Maybe all you've heard about Reggie Jackson is controversy. Well, has he been thumping the last week? 5 home runs in a week, another one today. Yankees hold off the Tigers 6-5 and close in now on another championship in the American League East. And did we have an upset? The New York Giants and the Washington Redskins. Right away, the Giants ambush the Redskins' Billy Kilmer. Watch now as Kilmer attempts to throw a simple pass out on the flat. George Martin, defensive lineman, picks it off. 29 yards for a touchdown. Unfortunately, Martin later was injured. He'll be sidelined 4 weeks. Kilmer now trying desperately to bring the Redskins back into it. And he is helped here by an interference call. It is obvious on Fugit. He had no chance to go for the ball. That set up this touchdown play. Kilmer, second and goal. He shakes Riggins, number 44, loose, and he's got him as the Skins regain the lead. but it is Goldstein, the Giants' rookie quarterback. He missed all of last year because of an injury, who hit Ed Marshall down at the 7-yard line on a deflection by Houston. Then the touchdown pass that tied it at 17. Goldstein to Shirk, and it looked like they were headed for overtime. But on a simple, quick trap, the Redskins fumbled, and it was recovered by the Giants. Then, with just 5 seconds left, it was Danilo kicking the field goal 20 yards, and the Giants had upset the Washington Redskins by a score of 20-17. That wasn't the only upset, Irv Cross.
Well, there were other upsets, Brent. We'll talk about it when we get to that Atlanta-LA game. But right now, the Minnesota Vikings and Dallas Cowboys, of course, are tied at half, or in half with the Dallas trailing the Minnesota 7-3, but this is the highlight package from Atlanta and L.A. Joe Namath has completed a pass there to Harold Jackson. His second pass here, his third pass actually of the game, was a touchdown this time to Jackson, a 29-yard score. Haskell Standback scores from the 1-yard line from Atlanta to knot the game. The Rams, by the way, missed an extra point in this game. The final score was 17-6, and Haskell Standback, who had a great preseason, carries 35 yards here down to the L.A. 36-yard line, which sets up another sequence of plays, allowing Scott Hunter to hit Wallace Francis along the sideline inside the 12-yard line. Hunter goes this time on a keeper, scores another touchdown, get a field goal for Atlanta. The final score, 17-6, and we'll get to Minnesota-Dallas later, okay?
Irv, one of your favorite running backs, of course, is Walter Payton. He rushed for 161 yards. We're going to show you a highlight package on Walter. We'll be right back as the NFL Today continues on CBS right after these messages from your local stations.
When pirates invade his territory, young Donald Boone springs into action. Watch this great American hero tomorrow night on CBS.
It was Chicago 30, Detroit 20, and what an afternoon for Walter Payton. 131 yards in the first half of this game, wound up with 160 yards. Here is his best run, 75 yards. Now watch for number 89, James Scott, from the left side of your screen. He's going to throw a sensational block, no clip on the play, and Payton got down inside the 10-yard line before he was run out of bounds. Then he came back, was still another long run. Look at that little delay that they run with Payton. Sprinting out to the left, 24 yards. Again, it is Scott out in front throwing the key block. One of two touchdowns by number 34. On a 1st and goal behind Reeve Sorey, he plows to the corner. Now let's take a slow motion look at what the Bears were doing. They held Payton up for a count. Got great blocking from 35, Roland Harper. He whips a linebacker. Payton then slips through the daylight. Counted on James Scott downfield. Here he is going on his own, and finally run out of bounds. Now his second and final touchdown. It's a 3-yard run. And watch his nose for the end zone right there. Walter Payton, 161 yards, 23 carries, and 2 touchdowns, and Chicago winner. Irv, now it's time for the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, Dallas and Minnesota, of course, 7-3 at halftime, with Minnesota leading the game at their home ballpark in Bloomington, Minnesota. And everybody expected this to be a tough ball game, and it is. Of course, Fran Tarkenton this time hands off to Sammy White, who breaks off his left guard and moves upfield for a 25-yard gain around the Dallas 25-yard line. Tarkenton this time elects to go through the air and picks out his favorite receiver, Chuck Foreman, who latches onto it. 10 yards, touchdown Minnesota, the only touchdown of the first half. The Cowboys get on the board with a 33-yard field goal from Efren Herrera, 7-3 at halftime.
It was New Orleans and the Green Bay Packers in the Superdome, the site of the Super Bowl game next January on CBS, and probably the single most exciting play of the day. It was a punt return. Harrell of the Packers waiting to haul it back. 80 yards coming up right here. Now watch the block that Wagner is going to throw, number 21, after he turns the corner. It's the final block for Willard Harrell, and it'll lead him into the end zone right there. The Packers opened up a 14-point lead, largely because Lynn Dickey was hitting Ken Payne. Here he is with protection, stepping up and going deep down the left sideline. He wanted Payne again on the touchdown play that put the Packers ahead 21-0 after the extra point, and he got him. But the Saints rallied valiantly in the second half. Archie Manning, number 8, back after that arm operation of a year ago. For Henry Childs, coming out of the right side, he went all the way for the touchdown, made it 24-20. But then the Packers were able to hold on, and Bart Starr had beaten Hank Stram, and again that final score is 24-0. And of course, just a handful of games now still working. St. Louis and Denver, they are scoreless in the second quarter. Of course, the game you're watching, 7-3 Minnesota at the half. Baltimore over Seattle 14-7 at the half. Houston leading the Jets 7-0. And right now, let's go back to Bloomington, Minnesota. Pat Summerall and Tom Brookshire. Pat?
All right, Brent, thank you very much. Tom, I think over the years that we watched the Vikings play, you get sort of the feeling that they're not all that impressive, but they just stifle you.
Well, the first play of the game, the pass play by Tarkington, really was an interception pass.
Right.
But instead of that, Harris runs into Kyle. Ahmad Rashad gets hurt, but they don't get the INT on the very first play, which would have been deep. And you seem to make the bad play, and the Vikings seem to wait for you not to make your good play all the time. I know it sounds weird.
And by the way, Ahmad Rashad, who was hurt on that first play, has not come back. Our word was that he had a slight concussion, maybe or maybe not be back. But that's a big loss for the Vikings. As far as Dallas is concerned, of course, all of us were waiting for the debut of Tony Dorsett. He's carried the ball, to my recollection, 3 times and has picked up almost no yards.
Well, you know, it's a crazy thing, but Archie Griffin, when he came in, his first game, he had 38 yards on 12 carries. Steve Owens with Detroit had no rushing yardage at all his first game. Capoletti had 3 yards on 1 carry, and O.J. Simpson only had 35 yards on 10 carries. So I don't know what Gale Sayers did his first game. That might scare me, but we've got to wait for Dorsett to really show us what we've been hearing all about.
There have been a lot of top-flight backs who have not had auspicious beginnings, and so far, it's too early to judge, of course, Dorsett has not done all that well.
I think that Roger Staubach really has not been the smooth quarterback that we're used to seeing. I think he overthrew Billy Joe Dupree down in the end zone, which I think was a touchdown. Tarkington has been fantastic as always, you know.
With an ordinary credit card, we're going to prove that Edge lets you shave closer than foams. First, listen to an unshaven face. Now we'll shave the left side with foam, the right with Edge. Edge lubricates as it lathers so we can press harder to shave closer than foam. Now listen to the foam side. Then listen to the Edge side. Foam, Edge. Edge lets you shave closer than foams.
I dare you to knock this off. I dare you to compare anybody's batteries, anybody's, with alkaline power cells. Trying to beat them for long life. You know what? You can't. When you want long-lasting energy, you can't buy a longer-lasting, all-purpose power system than gold, red, and black alkaline power cells from Eveready. Come on. I dare you.
The Vikings have always been known as a rugged, winning football team. But then, you have to be pretty tough just to watch a game in Minnesota. Hi, I'm Doug Sutherland. I love the outdoors. So for me, Minnesota's a terrific place to live. They call this the land of 10,000 lakes. 10,000 mirrors that reflect more beauty than I could ever describe. Lakes that frame wilderness and dairyland. Lakes that show the Twin Cities. Lakes that move iron ore and grain all over America. Lakes for people to sail, ski, swim, and do just about anything you can do on water. The people of Minnesota are hardy, hard-working individuals, and many of them take time to help their neighbors through their United Way. They're volunteers in the Red Cross, Services for the Aging, YMCA, and many other agencies funded by our United Way. They love their football team, their communities, and their United Way. For all these volunteers, we'd like to say, thanks to you, it works for all of us, the United Way.
The preceding announcement was brought to you as a public service by the National Football League. And 2 of the outstanding members of the National Football League, the Dallas Cowboys, Minnesota Vikings, locked in the kind of battle we expected. Minnesota leading 7-3.
Tarkington's been intercepted twice, but sort of an incredible first half when you think about it. 9 for 19 for 124 yards, and he's very close to 42,000 for the career. Staubach 6 for 10 for 63. Again, he overthrew the touchdown pass that, you know, Roger will not do. And, of course, he's sound and he's very healthy. And I don't know. I would imagine the second half we might see a lot of points for 2 good defensive teams to probe around the first half and find out what will and what won't go. And I think they've probably done it. The coaching staffs of these teams are not guessing. They know exactly what will and what will not work.
The bright sunshine is out. on a warm, humid day.
Even Grant's assistant coaches run. Now they've stopped. He stopped watching them.
Right. It is Minnesota 7, Dallas 3 as the Cowboys send out their special team right there. Tom Landry's had his chance to speak with his group. And Bud Grant with his.
At 54 in the middle of your field is Randy White in the middle of your screen. He takes up almost the whole field. Somebody was laughing before the game, one of the Cowboys, and said he went over and stood on the infield and killed the grass over there.
Yeah.
He is tough.
Just taking exercises.
There he is.
Flattened the mound.
All he wants to do is play football as well as he possibly can, and that's his driving ambition, and he's doing a pretty good job of it.
Fred Cox, the Minnesota kicker. Butch Johnson. And the rookie from Florida, Larry Brinson, back deep. For Dallas, Fred Cox. How many times do you think he's done this? It's going to be Brinson. Fumbles it. Johnson picks it up. Flag goes down about the 30-yard line as Johnson struggles out to about the 20 where he's stopped by Phil Wise. And the Vikings got in a trade with the Jets.
Holding on the Dallas Cowboys.
Holding penalty against Dallas. The referee again is Pat Haggerty. Haggerty is number 40 in the striped shirt. Walking things off and walking back to the 10-yard line. Let's see who it was.
Holding number 57 on the run back.
57 is Bruce Hunter.
Can you imagine if they'd have had that when we were all playing?
What, holding or talking?
Telling people who did it? That's embarrassing.
Oh. First and 10 at the 11-yard line, the opening play of the second half. Running backs are Newhouse and Pearson, and this is Pearson. Preston Pearson struggles out to about the 13 where Fred McNeil, who has replaced Wally Hilgenberg in that Minnesota defense, makes the tackle.
Pearson had 38 yards rushing on 7 carries, about the most effective Dallas rusher against this team. Again, these linebackers for the Vikings, the secondary, those guys play another game, but the linebackers, McNeil and Seaman and Blair are extremely fast, and the Viking defense is a very, very quick one.
Dallas has a 2nd and 8 situation now. 14 more minutes of play left in the third quarter. Staubach. Newhouse had it, juggled it, and went out of bounds, juggling. And now bangs himself in the head with the ball because he juggled.
Pretty good fake here by Roger. Again, he gets outside of Marshall. You can see the linebackers and everybody going back to cover. He just does get the ball off before he gets near the line of scrimmage, but they were checking him. Simply an INC, that's all. Pretty good effort, though, by Newhouse.
Just didn't quite get it down in time. So it'll be 3rd down, Dallas. That's what they've done when they've faced this situation before. Dallas has been able to convert it 2 out of 7 times. Minnesota 2 out of 6. Right now it's 3rd and 8. Staubach. That'll be a screen. Got away from Page. And now he throws. And out of bounds. Butch Johnson was the guy who was close, and there's a flag down. Staubach is down back in the end zone.
Sutherland is really mad because he gave Roger Staubach a heck of a shot back in the end zone, and Roger, being the great athlete, just bounces aside. Now watch this. He's trying to screen left, and they've tied up the screen man. There's the shot by Sutherland. Very smart play here, and notice how Butch Johnson tried to make it look good.
There was an illegal receiver downfield. The Vikings, already having Dallas pinned down close to their own end zone, have chosen to use up that down, so it'll be 4th down Cowboys and 8 at their own 13. They must have really tied
Ineligible
up.
men downfield. Offense declined. 4th down.
That happens on the screen, though, when it doesn't develop right away because the linemen hold a couple of counts and then go ahead and move.
And Minnesota, being a veteran defensive team, was able to read the screen in a hurry and tie it up. Danny White standing in his own end zone. Minnesota not trying to block it. White gets off a good kick. Bob Grimm drops it. I believe the Vikings got it back. Dallas had a chance. But the Vikings got it back at their own 45. Bob Grimm looking up into what is a very difficult sun right now. Couldn't find a handle.
But Patrick, and you can watch this replay and you'll see it all. A veteran team looks for the fumbles. When you're young and you're inexperienced and you're bushy-tailed, you just run around banging people and you don't fall on the fumble.
Europe's most successful new car in history comes to America. Introducing Fiesta, imported from Germany by Ford. Fiesta. Now there's a car that combines dramatic performance with excellent gasoline economy. Fiesta, Europe's most successful new car in history. Test drive one at your authorized Ford dealer now.
Showgirls of the MGM Grand for Color Track by RCA.
Do my flesh tones look right to you? Are my feathers green?
Is my gown purple? If these colors don't look right to you, you should know about Color Track from RCA. It locks in all the colors, including flesh tones. Getting the color right is what Color Track is all about.
Before you see the Color Track system grabs it, aligns it, defines it, sharpens it, tones it, and locks the color on track.
RCA is making television better and better.
The Trenton 150 next Saturday on the CBS Sports Spectacular. It'll be televised live from the Trenton International Speedway. Mario Andretti, Tom Sneva, Gordon Johncock, Janet Guthrie, and Al Unser. All competing.
All in one car.
And live. Foreman straight ahead. Inside Dallas territory to the 47-yard line. Stopped by Randy White.
Right off Mick Tingelhoff, number 53. And by the way, he is playing in his 211th consecutive football game, which breaks Jim Otto's record, the great Oakland Raiders double zero. But 53 has been in their 211 straight contests.
And Mick has even given up the high-top shoes. He looks 5 years younger.
Yeah, look at that. He's got the racy jobs on.
Yeah. Second down, 4. That's McClanahan looking for a place to go. He fumbles. Foreman picks it up and gets a Minnesota first down. Benny Barnes got Foreman down.
Like it was supposed to happen, though.
Yeah.
It's almost an exchange the way they fumble it to one another.
Gosh, would you ever forget that Thanksgiving Day game in the snow when Eller picked up a fumble and was running down the field and fired a lateral about 30 yards across the field to one of the other defensive linemen like they've been working on it forever. First down, Minnesota at the 42-yard line of Dallas. First and 10. Foreman steps out of the couple.
Incredible. No way he makes the corner, much less making a yardage. And I'll be darned if he didn't do it. And you're right, at 206, he is even quicker. And he always used to be able to put his legs in one direction and a body in the other. You think this guy wouldn't be a heck of a skier at Vail or Sun Valley. Watch him get over to the sideline. Dede gets one shot at him, Dede Lewis. Nobody keeps their balance and runs that thing like that.
Good blocking effort by Bob Grimm, who has replaced Ahmad Rashad, taken up on the first play of the game. Second and 3 situation. Tarkenton fakes to McClanahan and throws to McClanahan. Underthrows. He was open.
Well, Roger had one, and now Fran has one. Watch number 10. Fakes to the strong side of the formation and just goes back to his back that left the backfield and simply doesn't throw cork. Incredible.
So it'll be a third down situation for Minnesota. Sammy White is one wide receiver, number 85. The other is Bob Grimm. It is 3rd and 3. They operate from the Dallas 35. He had forever. Stu Voigt to the 11.
All right, watch this. He's actually trying to hit Chuck Foreman, who goes to the right side of your picture, and Harvey Martin grabbed him and strangled him. And now Fran finds nobody. Uh-oh, he forgot about his tight end. He'll find Voigt. As you said, Pat, he came out of the ground. And there he is. Missed tackle by Tom Henderson, and now there's a race. And Cliff Harris will come into this picture very quickly and put the clamps on.
1st and 10 for Minnesota at the Cowboy 11. They already lead 7-3. Chuck Foreman inside the 10, stopped by Jethro Pugh. Stu Voigt has caught 4 passes already for a total of 64 yards. He doesn't look like much, but he sure gets it done.
When Fran's in trouble, he looks for him too, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And usually finds him.
Here's a drive that looked like it had no chance, and they're knocking, and this would be a big touchdown.
Sammy White splits wide to the left. Green comes to the right. 2nd down and 7. Tarkenton looking for White. It was batted down. Too Tall Jones, I believe, is the guy who got the big mid on it.
Let's see if they run a stunt. They do. They bring the defensive ends up the middle, and Too Tall at 6'9", 270. Oh, it's like throwing it over an office building. Came out sideways.
Ball just bounces there. Tom Landry. That was emotion from Landry.
Yep. Checking real grass.
At the 8-yard line. It is 3rd down and 7. Again, plenty of time for Tarkenton. And the chase was on, and Tarkenton goes down. Harvey Martin, Landry, and Golden Richards, both yelling encouragement.
And I mean, Harvey Martin comes a long way. Again, Fran had a lot of time. The Vikings are really giving Fran the protection. Foreman was covered down the middle. Here comes White. Look at this effort. That'll be on the radio program in Dallas, I'm sure, on Monday morning.
The report on Ahmad Rashad is that he was knocked out on that first play, that he will not play anymore today. He is staying in the locker room, in fact. Brett Cox with Paul Krause at the 31, so it'll be a 41-yard attempt. No good. Wide to the right by Cox, and Dallas will take it over at that line of scrimmage.
How big was the pass rush by Harvey Martin? They don't get 3, they don't get 7. Minnesota gets 6.
Was a factor, and a big one.
Dawn Launch, Sea of Japan. The Navy. See a recruiter or call toll-free. It's not just a job, it's an adventure.
To make it in this business, you got to stay one step ahead of everybody else. So I've got something nobody else has. Sunoco's penny pinching pump. It could save you money on quality gas, like my 190, the gas that's made to sell below my regular. And most cars that run on regular can use it. Hey, if I don't want you to pass me by, I got to give you a price you can't pass up. Sunoco's penny pinching pump can fill up your tank for less. That's my way of being very friendly.